people are always saying that Middletown is just that perfect little city. But I am here to tell you that there are some issues, and we are definitely going to talk about them. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, coming at you to tell you a piece of my mind. And we've been having a lot of talks here lately in the last week about what went on during the Middletown situation with the three boys. This situation has definitely been coming up over and over. And you know what? People keep saying this is not correct. This is just a situation that came out of nowhere. But I got some more information from a student that went to Middletown. Her name is Emma. How you doing, Emma?
Good, how are you?
We were sitting in class and we were talking about the racial relationships um, within classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and then we started talking about Middletown. And she had a couple of things that she had experienced in her life, and we talked after class. And you know what? She wanted to come on and tell her story, how her experience was at Middletown. So I'm not going to hold you up. I'm going to let Emma tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi, my name's Emma, and I did live in Middletown from the age of 3 up until now, actually. I went to elementary school there, primary school, middle school, and all through my high school years as well. Um, and along with that, I genuinely grew up in that neighborhood, in that area.
So, Emma, tell me what it was like to go to school as a Black person in Middletown.
I do remember in like the early years, like during elementary, middle school, it was a bit hard for me. Fitting in wasn't very easy. I'd always kind of get like axed about my hair or like, oh, your hair was short yesterday. What happened? But it's like I'm a black girl. I'm gonna change my hair. I remember one time I had this hairstyle actually, and like it was a high ponytail. It was like a slick high ponytail. And I remember some of the boys and girls were laughing at me, and like it made me kind of self conscious after that. And so by sixth grade and seventh grade, I started perming my hair. And I feel like a lot of students have probably experienced this, or Black people have experienced this in a white environment. I started perming my hair to fit in, to no one would, question me anymore or judge me or make fun of me. And I had many experiences with that when it came to my hair. I remember one time having a hairstyle where it was a big afro. And one of the students behind me was like, oh, I can't see. Can you change her hair? And so the teacher asked me to move my seat. And I was like, okay. It was hard. It was really hard. And I didn't really know what I was going through until I grew up and started learning more about myself and experiencing life itself.
I want to know kind of what was your experience like with teachers and administration?
Um, Honestly, I had a great experience with most of them during high school. Elementary and middle school, not so much, honestly. I felt more of an outcast during the time. Um, of course, it wasn't until high school where I started making more friends, and so I kind of put myself out there more. But I remember in middle school during my math class, actually, my teacher would never call on me, and I always had the right answer. I never understood why he never called on me, and he was a nice teacher. So I'm thinking, maybe he doesn't see me raising his hand, but it started going on like multiple times in class. I'd raise my hand, he wouldn't call on me. It got to the point where I had told my father, and he came in to speak to him. And so after that, he started calling on me in class. So I'm like, you didn't see my hand being raised in class at all. I had to bring my father in to tell you to pick on me in class. Like these type of situations that I had to go through.
And what about getting ready to prepare to go to college? I mean, how do you feel some of those experiences were?
When it came to colleges, I did have high standards, so to speak. There's a lot of schools that I wanted to go to and apply to, but I wasn't really pushed towards those schools. I was pushed towards, oh, maybe, I don't know, FCC sometimes, or maybe if I kind of like map out a plan to my counselor, she'd be like, oh, well, Hagerstown has a good program. But it's like, I keep reiterating to her, I want to go to college. I want to go to college immediately after this. Or she'd be like, okay, well, you can also go to the military and then after go to college. No, I want to go to college right after this. Why do you keep trying to coerce me into taking another path? I want to go to college right after high school.
Do you feel like you've met prejudices in Middletown? Have you ever yourself experienced it?
Um, I'd say yes, I've experienced it. Although it was very subtle. Like I'd really have to kind of like it had to be like a day or two into it, and I had to kind of like replay the situation in my head, and I'm like, oh, that was definitely a bit of it was a comment from somebody. Because in the moment, growing up in that area, in the moment, you don't realize what's being said to you until after. So it doesn't really, it doesn't hit you immediately. It's very subtle racism, honestly.
Have you ever been had blatant racism?
I have actually. This was during the midst of COVID, actually, when the election was going on and everything, and there was a bunch of rallies in my neighborhood and nearby my neighborhood, actually. And I do live in a predominantly white neighborhood. There's literally two or three black people in my neighborhood, and it's crazy to me. I see them. I see them. Actually, I'm going off track now. I'll talk about that later. But yes, I have. There was a moment when I was going into the Safeway across my neighborhood, and the woman who I guess she was with her niece or her granddaughter, and she was like, "What are you doing here, you nigger?" And I was surprised that she was talking to me, and I was with my mother. I was with my mother when she said this to me, and I was appalled. I was like, "You're with a child, and you're calling me the N word, hard R, in public, fully aware of what you're doing, and you just don't care." I was I was like I wasn't even angry because I'm so used to it, but I was so surprised. I was like, with all that's going on in the world, you're worried about me and what I'm doing. Like what? It's crazy.
And you said you were going to talk about something else. You said you had got off a track. What were you going to talk about?
Yeah, so like I was saying before, my neighborhood has like two or three black families, and there was this one time my brother, my uncle, and nephew and I were taking a walk around the neighborhood, and this man had seen us, and he was driving. He was kind of turning into the exit, but he saw us and he stopped and he was rolled his window down and he was like, "You guys live in this neighborhood?" We were like, "Yeah." He was like, "I've never seen you guys before." I was like, "Yeah, we don't really see our people around a lot." And so it was so funny because we were all laughing. He was like, "I never see our people around this neighborhood. It's always like the same three people and we're always in our houses, you know what I mean?" And so I think it was funny to me how he was like, he'd never seen us. But my parents have lived in that neighborhood for almost 16 years.
That long.
Yeah, 16 years, and he's never seen a black person before. And I was like, wow. Well, nice to meet you.
So, I mean, what would you say to people that say that there is no prejudices or um, um, negative things towards African Americans in Middletown? What would you say?
I'd say it's time that you guys take responsibility for what's going on in the school environment, and in the area itself. I'd say you guys need to stop, turning a blind eye to a lot of these things. I don't care if you ignore it because you want to get endorsements from the families, for the football team, for the lacrosse team. It's tiring. I cannot go to school every day and fear for my life. Like there was a certain point where I would not go to the parking lot without my best friend. I'd always go with her to the parking lot because there'd be rows of trucks the with the Blue Lives Matter flag flying from it or the American flag. I would literally like want to shit myself. Like I was so nervous. And it's like I've lived in this place almost my whole entire life and I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe. And as a school environment, they should want their students to feel safe, and not the white students because they're mighty comfortable. I mean, us black folks in the environment, we don't feel comfortable, and it's crazy to me how a lot of us just take it because we just want to get out of there. We put our heads down, we go to school, do what we need to do, and we leave. Because it's like once we get home, okay, I feel safe, I feel comfortable. But once I'm in that environment, I have to talk a certain way. I can't act too ghetto, I can't have a certain hairstyle so someone starts questioning me. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that I had to change my persona just that in that time span, that 6 hours that I'm in school, I'm a completely different person.
Wow. Wow. So, what advice would you give to another black person that is growing up in Middletown, that's starting out in school and going through middle school and going into high school? What advice would you give them?
um I hope this doesn't come off a bad way, but I mean, honestly, do what I did. I kept my head down a lot. I really just wanted to graduate and get out of that environment. So I did what I had to do. I got my good grades. You know, I was part of sports and everything, and I did what I had to do. And I'm not saying tolerate it or don't speak up about certain things, but I'd say be very mindful of where you are. I don't care what parents tell me, but some of their kids are very racist. Maybe you don't know it, but I know it because I experienced it. Um, a lot of the kids are okay, like just saying the N word, and mind you, I'm like 2 feet away from you. You know, I hear you, right? You know what I mean? Just be very careful, especially in that area. Racism, it's a thing. It's a thing in that area. It's very subtle, but it's very much prominent. Keep your head high. Do what you have to do. Don't let anyone, get in your way or stop you what you need to do. And if something does happen, of course, speak up about it. Don't wait till I to before. Don't wait like me to speak about it. If you're having issues, tell your parents because my parents, they came from Africa to here, so a lot of things that I was going through, they didn't really understand. And I did go through very depressive stages. So if you feel like you're alone, you should feel more than welcome to talk to your parents, your friends about it. Because it's most likely not just you going through it.
You know, Emma, all I can say is I thank you
Mm-hmm.
very much for telling your side of the picture because I think that the more and more that people talk, the
Mm-hmm.
more and more that people will understand. You know, I had a lady ask me some questions today about the difference between African American and being black and what term do you use? And I'm gonna do a video on that one probably next because
Mm-hmm.
I think that people just don't understand, and a lot of people don't want to say the wrong thing. It's
Yeah.
just they don't know. And so I think by you telling your story, people are going to start to know how people feel that might have brown or black skin in our world, in America, and especially in Middletown. Because we can't keep saying that there's nothing there whenever I have right now a young lady that went through the school system and can prove that life was not that easy going through Middletown education. All right. So
Right.
I thank you, Emma. You keep doing well in school. You keep doing well in life in general. And nobody has ever held you back. And so let's not start now.
Thank you.
You got me?
Yeah.
Good to see you. All
You
right.
too.